best part was the quick and easy recipes with step-by-step instructions, chef tips, and photos so easy to follow, my husband had no problem making dinner. Let Green Chef do the meal planning, grocery shopping, and most of the prep for you week after week. Green Chef makes achieving your 2019 goals easy with dinner options that work around your lifestyle, not the other way around. For $50 off your first box of Green Chef, go to greenchef.us/warbaby. That's right. For $50 off your first box of Green Chef, go to greenchef.us/warbaby. With Green Chef, it's easy to eat well and discover new recipes every week that you'll love to cook. This week's episode also brought to you by Away, first-class luggage at a coach price. Away was founded by two friends from New York who found themselves at JFK with dead phones, delayed flights, and a bright idea, luggage with power. Thus, the Away carry-on was born. The approach is simple. Create special objects that are designed to be resilient, resourceful, and essential to the way you travel today. They asked thousands of people how they pack, why they travel, and what bugs them most about their luggage, then designed a bag that solved a few old problems, like sticky wheels, and a few new ones, like dead cell phones. Away uses high-quality materials while offering a much lower price compared to other brands by cutting out the middleman and selling directly to you. Choose from 9 colors and 4 sizes, the carry-on, the bigger carry-on, the medium, or the large. I got the bigger carry-on in green, and it's a nice dark army green that is right on target with Warbaby's brand. I mostly travel for the podcast, so I love to just take a carry-on and be on my way. The Away bigger carry-on with battery is absolutely what I need to make my travels easier. And it's unbelievably lightweight. You won't believe it. All suitcases made with premium German polycarbonate, unrivaled in strength and impact resistance. Carry-on sizes are compliant with all major U.S. airlines while maximizing the amount you can pack. 4 360-degree spinner wheels guarantee a smooth ride, while the TSA-approved combination lock built into the top of the bag prevents theft. Never worry about your stuff again. Both sides of the carry-on are able to charge all cell phones and anything else that's powered by a USB cord. A single charge of the Away carry-on will charge your iPhone 5 times. There's a lifetime warranty and a 100-day trial. Live with it, vibe with it, travel with it, Instagram it. If at any point you decide it's not for you, return it for a full refund. No questions asked. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com/warbaby and use promo code WARBABY during checkout. Free shipping on any Away order within the lower 48 states. Visit away.com/warbaby and use promo code WARBABY during checkout for 20% off a suitcase and get ready to live that Away lifestyle. The heartbreaking crime scene had left its traumatic imprint on those involved. The entire family slaughtered, bodies strewn every direction they turn, knife blades embedded in their bodies, handles nowhere to be found, bite marks, strangulation marks, dozens upon dozens of stab wounds. The very next day, an FBI profile began to come together. From the evidence, they suspected that the perpetrator had a cut on his hand given the frenzied attack. All that blood and the frantic stabbing will sometimes cause the killer's hand to slip down the blade. They feel it's someone young who lives nearby. Given the racial profile of the victims, the FBI feels the killer is white too, as serial killers generally kill within their race. Also, the day after the Heaton murders, officers were canvassing the area and pulled over when seeing Craig Price. Having played in local sports leagues, including those sponsored by the department and coached by police officers, one of them is familiar with him. They see a bandaged hand and inquire. Craig easily tells them that he had cut his hand attempting to break into a Ford Probe a few nights earlier. They leave this encounter uneasy and head directly to the location Craig had given them for the car break-in. Officers are unable to find any broken glass or any other evidence to corroborate the story that this car had out-of-state plates and was parked there for a wedding being held on the block. The FBI agent profiling the Warwick killer was asked, could Craig Price be the slasher? 5 days after the murders, the famed Dr. Henry Lee from Connecticut arrived, who had famously consulted on many high-profile cases such as the murder of the Scarsdale diet doctor, the preppy murderer in New York City, and later the O.J. Simpson case. Dr. Lee concluded the perpetrator was large and that he had indeed cut his hand and trailed blood. A chemical compound Dr. Lee specially formulated was able to expose footprints through socks. Size 13. They had blood evidence, a handprint on the fridge and the table, a size 13 shoe, and a potential suspect named Craig Price. Additional officers scoured that street, continuing to look for any fragments of broken glass that could explain Craig's bandaged hand. They could find none. So Craig and his parents were questioned at the station, and he stuck to his story. He told them he wears a size 11 shoe. Warwick police scheduled a polygraph examination for the very next day, and when he showed deception in answering the question, "Did you cut your hand breaking into a car?" they knew they were finally on to something. 8 days after the Heatons' bodies were discovered, Craig failed a second exam, this one administered by the state police examiner. 2 days after that, his fingerprints were matched to the handprints found at the scene. With this evidence, they were finally ready to arrest Craig Price. Aware of his propensity to roam the streets at night, police set up a perimeter around the Price home early Sunday, September 17, 1989. At 6 a.m., they descended upon the sleeping family. Craig had only been asleep for about an hour. They had watched him watch TV all night. Now, as his stunned parents stood back in horror, police hauled him up from the dark basement. Dozens of officers picked apart the contents of the home. They were there for Craig Price, his blood, a hair sample, and any bloody evidence from the crime scene of the Heaton murders. Investigators find bag after bag of wet, moldy clothes full of bugs. There's absolutely no food in the kitchen. It's all very dark. Recovering from a heart attack the previous year, the stress of this situation seemed to be straining John Price both physically and emotionally. He did not look well. John sobbed aloud, as did Shirley, when police announced that they had found the bag of evidence. Knife handles, the block, bloody towels, and that they were taking their son. They got almost everything they're looking for while 15-year-old Craig Price dozed on the couch as if nothing were even happening. At the police station, John and Shirley encouraged their son to be honest and waived the right to have an attorney present when their juvenile son was interrogated by police about being a serial killer. Craig's easy recollection of the night of the Heatons' murder sent his father out of the room to vomit. Once a confession to the Heaton murder was secured, the detectives on Becky Spencer's case wanted their turn at Craig Price too. When asked, he simply said, "Okay, yeah, I killed her." He confessed to that too. Juvenile proceedings moved quickly then, it seems, and on September 21st, Craig told Judge Petrillo that he had indeed committed these 4 murders. Friends from his neighborhood had been waiting outside the court for him to be escorted in. They hooted, hollered, and cheered loudly, yelling words of support at their embattled friend. Craig himself was all smiles on his way in, but now he stood calmly as his parents stated that they understood the consequences of their child's actions. The judge sentenced Craig to the maximum juvenile sentence allowed by law, committal to the Rhode Island training school until his 21st birthday. By pleading guilty just weeks before his 16th birthday, Craig Price was able to avoid a trial. Craig's disciples were still outside when he was escorted back to the transport, and he yelled to them that he was going to smoke a bomber when he got out. Rude, heartless, and disrespectful. That phrase haunted everyone attached to this case. When I get out. The cops who worked this case had been thinking about that day ever since they celebrated after his arrest and confessions. Now it was roughly 59 months away, and one detective, Kevin Collins, Assistant Attorney General at the time, Jeffrey Pine, along with Joan's mother and sister and Becky's brother, vowed to themselves that they couldn't let this happen. Assistant AG Pine worked quickly, and the month after Craig's sentencing was able to get legislation passed that allowed prosecutors discretion as to whether a juvenile defendant should be tried as an adult. Part of the rehabilitation program Craig was sentenced to, along with residents at the training school, was supposed to be designed from the results of psychiatric evaluations and psychological testing. However, on advice from his public defender, Patricia M. Byrne, and with no regard to the pleas from the judge aimed at his parents, Craig invoked his Fifth Amendment rights, refusing to participate. He was afraid that the results would lead to his committal to a state mental hospital for life. And he was young, but he understood that 5 years was not a long time in the grand scheme of things. If he could hang on, he could have a fresh start anywhere. Due to the brutality of his crimes, Craig was one of only 2 current residents sentenced directly to the maximum security unit, generally reserved for the hardest of offenders or disciplinary problems. He lifted weights religiously. Shirley Price kept her son in supply of his favorite Irish Spring soap. By the spring of 1993, Craig had received his GED and moved on to satellite college courses. Whatever he did, whatever programs he was able to participate in were reported, enraging the public. Craig was now allowed to sit unsupervised sometimes and had become a peer counselor. Although he continued to refuse his own psychiatric evaluations, he was now being called upon to encourage others to adhere to their programs. The entire program ended up being scrapped by the training school, his participation outraging the community. Craig Price's behavior was coming under even closer scrutiny as his 21st birthday barreled toward Rhode Island. Then came a rap video in which Craig appeared with other kids from a music therapy program at the training school. His physical motions seemed to mime the violent crimes of his younger years. Detective Kevin Collins of Warwick PD felt personally assaulted by the lyrics. When attacked, once again, the executive director of the training school published a commentary in the local newspaper. The issue at hand, she felt, was not the programs Craig Price was allowed to participate in, but the fact that he should not have been housed in the juvenile system in the first place. Just before his 20th birthday, October 11, 1993, state police were called into the training school in response to a disciplinary report filed by guard Mark Petrella. Upon a routine strip search on October 1st, Petrella discovered cigarettes and a lighter hidden in Craig's underwear. After a report was made and Craig received notice, he threatened Petrella, warning him to not set foot on the unit again or he'd snuff him out. State police completed their investigation with results sent to the Attorney General's office. Just after his 20th birthday, Craig's public defender once again pled the Fifth on his behalf, as they had been doing in court now for years. At this yearly review, Craig was threatened with a contempt of court charge should he continue to refuse psychiatric evaluations. This was Craig's first indication that the state planned to pursue new charges that could keep him incarcerated past his 21st birthday. The Rhode Island Senate passed the Craig Price bill in late 1993 as well, which would now allow the Attorney General's office to petition for the psychiatric commitment of a defendant, something they could not do when preparing a case against Craig Price. Mental health advocates were generally unsupportive, feeling the bill perpetuated the stereotype that the mentally ill are violent. The Craig Price II bill passed almost unanimously in February 1994, allowing courts to consider prior history, criminal and otherwise, when considering if an individual continues to pose a threat to their community. Even before he could be held in contempt of court, however, Craig was indicted on assault and extortion charges on June 8, 1994, as a result of his contraband-induced threats made to the guard. Where the public defender once sat, now sat a private attorney, Robert Mann, whose mantra was something similar to "everyone deserves a defense." Judge Jeremiah S. Jeremiah reviewed the previous annual report hearing broaching the subject of contempt of court charges. The judge called a special review hearing where both the state and the defense would present arguments both against and for Craig's continued incarceration. When asked if Craig would be taking the psychiatric exam, his new private defense attorney again answered no, and Craig was found in contempt of court, adding a year to his sentence, effective immediately, and in effect until the